Welcome to Your Life in Film. I'm your host, Ted Bennett. Joining me this week, Daniel Stafford-Clark. Daniel is a DOP. He's been working in the industry for a long old time. You'll have seen his work on Extraordinary, How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, Big Mood. I worked with Daniel in 2014 on a short film called Some Candid Observations. That's where I met him. We had some recording issues on the original recording, and we missed the last two questions, so we went back and re-recorded, hence why there's a bit of a sound difference, but you won't notice. You probably will. We start this episode talking about original shows and studios not relying on tired IPs, so yeah, enjoy. Even things like Extraordinary, which I didn't realize you'd shot until when I was watching it, and I was like, I know that name. So it was a really nice surprise. Yeah. But even that, it's like, well done. You've done a superhero thing that is unique, like good. Like,
yes.
Keep just doing things that aren't established IPs. Let's try something new.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I've been following the Backrooms in obsession, like many people. But yeah, I think it's great that two films that, although with Backrooms, it's obviously like being a YouTube series and a phenomenon for a while on the internet. But in terms of the film world, it's completely new and has been seen by many people, a lot of whom are young, which is also a really good thing, I think.
It gets young people back in the cinema is nice as well.
Yeah, it's tapped into a younger generation, very obviously super young filmmakers as well. I think this is all good and we need more of that.
We need more people like yourself that worked in a cinema and then got to see their own things in the cinema.
Yeah, that is, when that does occasionally happen, that is quite a nice experience.
I remember you telling me that before Some Candid Observations. Like, I think you saw like one of your old managers or something while you were like, well, my film that I shot is playing here and I worked here. And I remember you sort of being like, that feels good.
I still, there are still some people working at the BFI who I know, and no, it's always nice to see them. And in the least gloaty way possible, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm back for the film. It's great.
There is always that nice thing. I think just you want them to be just as happy, like that things are happening. Not that it's like, look at me doing so well. It's like just things are happening. Like that's good, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, I think those that still work there because it's probably the best job in the world.
Yes.
It might be my best ever job.
Oh, really?
Just getting to watch films in a more uncomplicated time in my life. It was pretty good.
So when I was a Cineworld, I didn't have the luxury of BFI. But
did they let you sit in for the films?
I was a projectionist. So
yeah, very much then.
I was there a lot watching the films. I would say that it does mean I've seen Mamma Mia a lot. So
yeah, you would occasionally get an extended run that you just sort of had to grit your teeth and.
I was baffled by you could go to the Asda down the road and buy the DVD of Mamma Mia for £1 more than watching it at the cinema while it was still playing. And I couldn't. I was like, geez, people, just go buy it. Let's put something else on. Just go buy it. Just go away.
Hey, you're meant to be promoting the cinematic experience. But yeah, I mean, look, I haven't seen Mamma Mia, so I'm not hugely qualified to ask. But I imagine it would be a good film to see in the cinema, especially if it's one of those screenings where it's a bit rowdy, everybody's singing along.
Well, the ball bouncing along the lyrics at the bottom was by the time that it got to the end. So
exactly, that is that's not going to happen in quite the same way in your living room or on your laptop.
That's true. I think I haven't yet. The only time I'll ever watch a film on laptop or iPad is when I'm traveling, and it's sort of like, I want to watch a film, but I'm going to be very specific about what I want to watch and all that kind of stuff. I can't understand people. I know time and space, whatever, but watching films on the laptop at home, I'm just like, what do you do? Come on, commit to a better setup. Try and do something.
Yeah, I guess I'm similar. I mean, part of one good side of my job is that when I'm not working, I can go to the cinema. I've got a kid, So I've got a window of time when he's at school, and I can take myself to a matinee screening, which is great. And they're always, I mean, it's my favorite time to go.
It's the best time.
I
It's the best
much
time.
prefer going early in the day, with hardly anybody else
Mm.
there. I know that's not very communal, but just sort of, being in a massive cinema screen with like a couple of retirees and maybe a stoner student or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great way to see a film. I think for some reason a TV series I find more acceptable on a laptop or an iPad. I
Okay.
I can't explain that. And
Oh,
when I watch films at home, because of said being a parent circumstances, I often have to break them up into
yeah.
chunks to get through them.
A lot of friends who are parents said that this was the perfect time to watch foreign films because they'd have to watch things with subtitles on anyway, so they didn't wake the child up during midnight feedings. So they're like, I'm just going to watch a foreign film because I need the subtitles anyway. And I was like, that's a great way of just consuming like a film that you wouldn't normally be like, oh, I'm not really in the mood. I'm a bit tired. I don't know if I got the time or the energy for that. So they're like, I'll just watch it now. And it was like, yeah, do that more.
Yeah,
But
look, anything that again gets people watching films.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I like there. There are quite a few friends of mine who, for some reason, find the idea of watching a film is like a bigger deal in their life and more complicated than putting on a TV show. I've never really understood that. For me, a TV
yeah,
show feels like because it's a longer commitment. Um, you're watching 6, 8, 10, however many
yeah,
episodes, whereas a film it comes and goes. It's neat. It's contained. It's its own world.
yeah.
So
It's hopefully 90
I
minutes of
can't
joy.
bash TV too much. I work in it a lot, and it's obviously really excelled in the last, well, since The Sopranos, I guess. Give me a good old fashioned film any day of the week.
100%, 100%. Um, but are you still doing like shorts? You've done a feature or two, haven't you?
Yeah, here and there. I mean, I shot some features a long time ago, and they were definitely at the micro budget end.
Mm,
So not working on features currently. Would definitely like to. It's quite a distinct world though, and a sort of small pool of DPs tend to do a lot of the interesting independent features. So what I think I would need is a director I've worked with previously getting a feature and
yeah.
and pushing me through. Basically, I think that's
Well,
how you break into that world.
I remember like joking with some people a few years ago that in the UK independent like film world, there's about five DPs. Like, it,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean there really are a few who just hoover it all up, and they're very good
yeah,
at what they do. So I can see why they're hired a lot. But yeah, it's just like anything in pretty much probably any job in the world. It's hard to move from one room to another, and it's you've got to be a little wary of being pigeonholed, I guess. It's not so much as a director. I think as a DP you can have a more varied IMDb, but I do think making good choices. There are some DPs who have held out, made really good choices, and it hasn't done their careers any harm.
mm. I think it's the you all strive for that career of like the Roger Deakins where you know it's shot by a master, but it doesn't look necessarily the same as everything else he's done. So,
Yeah,
it's almost like Alex Garland for me as a director. It's sort of like he can do whatever he likes, really. He can play in any genre and it kind of works. It doesn't, it's an Alex Garland film, but it's not necessarily like Spielberg. You can go like, well, that's Yanis's shots. That's how he lights it. That's how he does
yeah,
everything. Like that's a Spielberg
yeah,
film. But with like Deakins and things, you can sort of go like, well, it looks beautiful and it's shot perfectly for that film. And I think that's the hope you always get as like a creative is that it's like, no. If I only wanted to do one specific thing, Like, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I want to do everything. I want to
Yeah,
shoot. I want to shoot in the darkest of darks and the brightest of brights. I want to try color palettes. I want to try compositions. I want to try like different things, and I want to be like applauded for that as a spectrum. But I would
yeah,
say
I would agree.
your decisions to shoot things, I think that you fall into that. I'd say I think none of your work looks the same, but also not so magnificently different that you're like, are you sure that person shot it? It's like there is a warmth to a lot of your work, which I really like, but it doesn't necessarily. I don't look at like Extraordinary and be like, yes, that is the exact same as the short I worked on with you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like you can see that there is a skill and expertise in the framing, but it doesn't necessarily. It's not your specific like that's his shot, you know. And I think that's a better place to be.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for those kind words. Yeah, I think I really like to approach each new project as its own thing and try to sort of bond with the with the film,
Mm.
get to know it, and get it to tell me a bit what it is. I think that's definitely an important part of the creative process, and I think also just the different collaborations you have. You know, especially with a DP and director, it will be different every time the way you collaborate, and that will obviously have an effect. I think that yeah, there are just enough things out there that will naturally have you seeking uh, the world that is appropriate for that film. But I think conversely, at the same time, there will be aspects of your taste and your personality, and just like the way that you've learnt to do certain things that will kind of come through without you having to force it too much. So I
Mm.
think there will be a bit of you in there. You don't necessarily need to make it uh, front and center, but it's funny actually because I went to the NFTS. We were taught by Brian Tofano, uh, amazing cinematographer, shot Train Spotting, Billy Elliot, amongst a lot of stuff. A very good teacher. He was very much of the belief that the DP sort of needs to be able to fit the project and that you need to be versatile and adaptable. But there seems to be, in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, with us going into this kind of social
Mm.
media, uh, AI age that we found ourselves in, there's a school of thought that a DP actually does need to stand out and have something about them that is like a brand, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, and there are some DPs who've really done well off of that, I think. But yeah, it just feels quite, like you say, kind of limiting. Like, and also just, I don't know if it would come particularly naturally to
Well,
me.
there's certain roles in filmmaking which is like, well, you can't get more behind the camera than the DP. Like that person clearly doesn't want to be in front of that camera because they're the first line of defense behind it. So to make that person almost a brand, it's like you've not understood. Like this person is about showing the product, not themselves. And I think there's a lack of confidence when certain filmmakers have to be a bit more like, but check out my personality. It's like, yeah, but what about your creative output? Like that's the thing that matters as a broader spectrum. And if you're not as confident about like your own abilities, you might be a bit more confident. It's like, well, I can throw my personality out there and people will like that. I can make sure that they like that. And then, you know, the work can kind of follow in that. It's like, no. Let's get the work right. And then, you know, hopefully you're not an asshole.
I would agree with you, but I do think there are people making decisions who
Yes.
don't come at it from maybe the same perspective
Well, I
as
heard
us,
that
and
horrible thing that Saoirse Ronan didn't get a job once because her Instagram followers weren't as high as the other actress.
Well, there you go. If you've got someone who's got a load of Instagram followers, you've got sort of a baked-in audience, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I try to. I mean, it's look. That's not me. It's not how I'm going to play it. So
No.
I'm just going to keep doing things the way I do them. And hopefully, yeah, you get to a certain point. It's not even. I'm not saying that I'm sort of high up some kind of hierarchy of DPs or anything like that, but you've sort of been doing it long enough that I think the work speaks for itself, hopefully.
Also, you have been doing it like for a long time. That does say volumes, because I know people who have tried to do it and they've done it for a couple of years, and then they either couldn't afford to keep doing it as sporadically until they got their break, or they couldn't get the work sort of honed enough that they were always hired for the next job, or there was just something about them that they just couldn't do it. Whereas I know you've been a working DP for at least over 10 years now. So like that in itself is sort of like, right. So there's clearly something there. There's the thing that proves that this person has the abilities to stick it out and do the good work because they are continually hired.
Yeah, no, I think because I don't think there's a DP or anybody involved for that matter in filmmaking who doesn't have moments where it gets a bit quiet or they start to wonder if anybody remembers who they are. But I think as I do it for longer, I've learned to sort of hang in there and weather the storm. And yeah, maybe it is just having a few years under my belt. I don't know, but yeah, it feels less existential maybe.
I did a talk at a school recently, and one of the kids was sort of asking like, what's the one bit of advice you'd give? And I was just like, whoever can wait the longest will get the work.
Yeah, I think that, and even I think when you're trying to break through, it's like if you hang around and make a nuisance of yourself for long enough, and you're determined,
if you keep raising your hand, don't forget about me.
Happen. Yeah, I think things will generally happen. I've seen that happen time and time again. Yeah, it's like a sort of determination and just being about when the breaks come, and also just just in your early days, meeting people, knowing people, meeting as many people as you can, just being out in the world. I think I was sort of as from a time when I was younger that people generally socialized more, I think.
Yeah.
And there was quite a big network of friends and acquaintances in London. We would hang out through work, through partying, through shooting low budget stuff, and that sort of begets other friendships. And a lot of my breaks came through those early friendships and relationships, and you sort of working your way up together as well. You've got a friend who gets a break. They try and put you in for something. Maybe that time they want to hire a bigger DP, but that friend still keeps on pushing to get you on. Relationships that's very important. I think it's a bit more difficult maybe for younger people nowadays, as we know. Everything's more expensive.
Yeah.
Living in London is more expensive.
Oh,
going out is more expensive. Making films is more expensive. So it's just harder, I think, to be surrounded by potential collaborators. And it's probably harder through a screen, I imagine, to make those kind of connections and relationships.
Yes, I think it is, because all the best connections I've made have been through me attending a festival or something and then striking up a conversation, because there's like, you can afford to sort of, like, oh, I can't get a gist through the screen whether you're being flippant or whether you're being silly, or if that's your personality or whether that's how you play it. Whereas in person, you can be a bit more like, you can read the whole body, not just the torso up, and you can be like, oh, okay, they
Yeah.
seem, but I
Well,
mean, I
you're
don't know.
engaging. You're engaging with each other, aren't you? Just.
Yeah,
I mean, I imagine even just the physics of the neurons in the air between you
yeah,
shifting. It comes down to that. So I think, yeah, I've spoken to a few sort of younger um, DPs in the making, and that does seem like that's one of the harder things to do than maybe it used to be, to make those early connections.
well, I had to make it's quite a difficult career decision, but not a difficult personal decision, was to leave London, because it was, if I leave London, I can afford to keep doing filmmaking because I don't have to constantly push and push and push. But if I leave London, I also have to work a lot fucking harder to maintain relationships, to make new relationships, to put myself out there, attend a lot more things in the Midlands. I'm up in Shropshire now. Like, you
Yeah,
really got to push yourself to sort of be like, right, got to put myself into the art community here. I have to turn up and I have to be at every gallery and I have to make sure I say all the nice, pleasant things that, you just got to do those things. And it's taken a couple of years, but like, I've built up a good community here now. But there is that thing of like, if I leave London, there is hundreds of people that I have the ability to speak to about the work. Coming up to Shropshire, there might be half a dozen, but they might be more, they're in a similar situation. They can afford to make it. They might be like, well, I'm not in London, so I've not got the network. And it's like, oh, well, then let's start the network. Let's get going. Let's actually do a thing. And it was a leap, but I'm pleased I made it.
yeah. I mean, that sounds like a really positive thing, to be honest, and that is something that I think has majorly improved since I started out. There are more regional hubs, and there's a lot
Yeah.
more energy in places outside of London. I guess for us Londoners, it makes it more competitive, but you've got like Belfast, you've got Cardiff, you've got Manchester,
Mm.
Liverpool. There are places that are busy and really have their own scenes, and I think that that sounds like maybe it's starting to brew as
I,
well in
I
Shropshire.
think a lot of people are starting to realize that London isn't the only hub. And if you're not grinding in another job, trying to keep one, a roof over your head, and then also a creative dream alive, if you don't have to worry about it in that way, you can just work normal hours and keep a creative outlook going. It's like, oh, well, then I'll keep doing that. And I think YouTube does prove that you can build your own audiences no matter where you are. If you're producing good sort of work, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
You'll get it out there.
Well, I suspect after Backrooms and Obsession and a few other hits in the last
Yeah,
few years, YouTube is now there's going to be a feeding frenzy of
yeah.
studio types trying to scour YouTube for the next Kane Parsons.
But I better push all of my shorts through YouTube now.
Yeah, you need to get them out and about. They'll be scouting,
Maybe
or
I
they'll
don't
have
know.
algorithms doing it for them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's any. I don't know. So you're a native Londoner, born and bred.
Yes, yes. So
Nice.
that was obviously an advantage with the whole being in London thing, is I had a base, I had
Yes.
somewhere, I had a parents' house, and then bought a flat in my mid-20s when that was a bit more possible to do alongside my brother. So I always had a base in London, um, and living at home
Mm.
while I worked at the BFI South Bank gave me the financial freedom to do low budget, no budget stuff to get a reel
Yeah.
together, which I then applied to the NFTS with and sort of went from there.
Oh, nice. So I applied to the NFTS with my with the film I made at uni, and didn't even get an interview and all that. And I was very disheartened. And then a lot of people said like, oh, they always reject you first because they want to see if you'll come back next year. And I'm like, that feels like a con to me. I don't like that. And I just never went back to I would have loved to have gone to an FTS, but I never reapplied. But then with my most recent short, I did think like, I'm tempted to apply with this short just to see if is it more
just
that
to see if they accept you, and then if they do, you'll be like, actually, I'm fine.
Actually, I don't want you, is what I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, NFTS has got quite a big kind of reputation about the whole selection process. I mean, I'm very much a film school brat. That's kind of that was my path. In before I went to NFTS, I was at LCP and I did the film and video course there. And NFTS was always spoken about in kind of hushed tones as this thing that you're never going to get into, but maybe occasionally someone did get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I know a fair few people who have been to it, though.
Selection process. Yeah, well, I mean, people obviously do get in. And I got very lucky getting in, actually, I think. I got into the interview with the reel, that's one thing, but I feel like I just sort of said the right things in the interview, and that got me into the workshop. And then in the workshop, I got very lucky again in that when I was applying, there were 6 students for each department. I think there are now 12.
Yes.
Maybe even more. Or is it 12?
It was 12 when I applied, so it might be more now.
So there were 6. And after the selection workshop, I was the 7th. So I hadn't gotten in. But they got me to keep coming to observe some of the first and second years doing their workshops. And I went to about sort of 3 weeks worth of these workshops. And then they took me aside and said, we're going to try something here. We're going to offer you a 7th place. So there'll be an additional person in a cinematography group. It's going to be a bit experimental, but would you like to give it a try? And I did.
Obviously.
I got in somehow. It was very lucky. It obviously, so the rest is history. It was it was a great course, and it was a breakthrough. And but there you go. It was a moment of luck and serendipity.
Was his name James Howlett, who did the director for Candid Observations? Was he an FTS?
I don't.
Because it feels like
not at the time I was.
Because it feels like anyone who did Hollyoaks and EastEnders probably was an FTS. Just because it was one of those they'll hire you for.
It's a route in, isn't it, for directors? But not when I was there.
Okay.
I don't know if subsequently, but not when I was there.
Fair enough.
Cecilia, who produced it, she went to the London Film School with Olivier, the two of them running Parkville Pictures. But she produced a lot of NFTS student shorts in that period.
Right.
And she is quite well connected with quite a lot of us who were at NFTS. In fact, true story, I met my partner on her directorial debut, on Cecilia's first ever short that she directed, and that was 15 years ago. So yeah, it's, again, this kind of tight knit film community thing, and a lot of us are still really good friends. So that was a good network there. Of
nice.
People who are all just we all get on really well, and we've sort of risen up together. But yeah.
Oh, nice. I haven't spoken to Ashelia for quite a while, but it's nice to know that. Is she still going? She's still working? She's still doing?
Oh yeah. I mean, Parkville. So the last thing that got released that they produced was, oh dear, I'm terrible with names. Romantic comedy that came out this year, Finding Emily.
Okay.
So they produced that with, I think, working title were involved, and some others, but that was a Parkville Pictures production.
Are you from a artistic or creative family yourself?
My dad was a producer, now retired, but he worked in TV, film, and commercials. He started off actually in advertising, then on the agency side. Then he moved into producing TV commercials. Then he moved into films.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he may have produced Roger Deakins' first film credit, if not his first, one of his very early film credits.
Nice.
Stormy Monday. Mike Figgis directed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved into TV, and that's where he sort of really found his feet and found a success. He produced an early noughties Bleak House that had Gillian Anderson in it.
Oh yeah,
that was very beloved, and that was his sort of crowning achievement. But yeah, he was in the film industry. In fact, as a result, I ended up going to primary school in Soho because he would take me into Soho. I was at a day nursery in Soho, and then the Soho Parish Primary School recruited from this day nursery, and I found myself at a primary school in Soho.
Madness.
Fun times.
Yeah.
This was the 80s as well.
Misery.
This was the 80s as well, when Soho was very
vibrant.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Vibrant. So it was quite, I just thought, everybody was very friendly. That's what I thought as a kid walking into school.
That's how you should feel. And do you reckon you'll encourage a career in media to your children?
Yeah, I've got a son. He's 5.5. I would certainly want him to see that it's a possibility, because I think a big barrier for a lot of people getting into film is that they don't think it's something they can do.
Yeah.
They think it's something that other people do. And that was a big barrier that I didn't face because I could see my dad doing it. It felt like, well, yeah, this is something I can do. Of course I can do it. My dad's doing it. So I think if my son can see that in me, and that's what he decides he wants to do, then that's great. But to be honest, I hope maybe also that if he were to go in a different direction and do something creative, it would have the same impact, that he could see that
all
there is a possibility of a creative job, assuming it doesn't get decimated by artificial intelligence.
I'm sure there'll be a moment where it will, but it'll come back. I think there is going to be a point where the money guys, quote unquote, win. Like there will be a point where it'll be a bit like self-checkouts, that they're starting to roll self-checkouts back because they're like, there's too much theft. And it's like, oh, a big faceless company that no one likes and cares about, you trust us to scan our own shopping. And you're surprised that we'll steal from you. Like, I don't personally. But it's that, so they're going to be like, oh, we'll put people back on the tills. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Good idea. Put people back into jobs. Yeah, good idea. And I think AI is going to do a similar thing. I think there's going to be a point where there's going to be a lot of rubbish produced. And then they're going to be like, no one seems to be interested in art anymore, and we can't make any money on it. We'll stop bothering then. And then people will be like, now we can come back in. I hope.
Yeah, well, it seems to be an ongoing battle. And again, to go back to Backrooms, but just because it's very zeitgeisty at the moment, that does feel in itself like a pushback against AI somehow. But yeah, you're right. There are, people with money who think they know all the answers as to how to make more money. And then throughout history, they've been proven that actually it's a human connection that people want. It's not just big explosions and robots and dystopian cities. It's like something that reflects themselves amongst all of that, all of the big explosions,
amongst all the big explosions. But like, you can tell when like I was talking to Ashton Hertz, who's an executive producer for VFX things. She did Dune and Batman and things, and she was saying on one film she worked on, it was one, I think it was one of the Guardians of the Galaxies. There's a bit where Chris Pratt has to eat an alien fruit, and the original footage is green screen and him biting a tennis ball. And she just sort of said, like, they couldn't have got a dragon fruit. Like, it looks alien enough. Like,
yeah.
most people aren't going to know what a dragon fruit looks like anyway. So there's an alien piece of fruit. And if someone takes a bite and a bit dribbles down the chin, they're going to react. They're going to do a thing. There's going to be an imperfection that they're going to have to clear something off their face, which then gives you something tangible. That's, oh yes, that's me eating a piece of fruit. Yes. Whereas if you go, there's nothing. And the eye knows there's
it's
nothing.
mimicry, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to, I think. It's AI has gotten very slick.
Sure.
It's gotten kind of, well, photorealistic, but it feels like an imitation of life still, no matter how slick it looks. And there's something about that I think makes it feel very disposable. Like,
yes,
I think there are some interesting creative things being done with AI. There's a guy called Gossip Goblin, for instance. I don't know if you know him,
like
but he makes
old folky horror.
sort of. He's kind of pivoted in a few different directions. I think what he's doing is really cool and creative, but it's something different to like filmmaking to me. Like it almost feels more, I don't know, sort of art installation-y, but I don't come away from it thinking, oh my God, that is the best AI film I've seen. I'm going to go and talk to everybody about it at dinner. I'm going to rewatch it in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the screenplay, and it sort of begins and ends there, and I can appreciate it for being creative, but it lacks a connection that makes it like leave a dent in my soul.
My dad always says it about, he'll go to the portrait gallery. He'd go every day if he could, but you go to the portrait gallery, and he says, you walk up to a painting that's 500 years old, and you see a brush stroke, and you can see the intensity it was made with. You can see the direction it was made in, and you can see it, and you go, that's 500 years ago. Someone stood as close as I am right now and created that piece of artwork, and I am here now looking at that exact same piece of artwork, and I can see the artifacts of it. That is what AI completely lacks. There's none of that. It is so. It's a piece of glass, and you look at it and you go, because there's no depth. There's nothing to it.
Yeah,
there's none.
There's not a sort of a process, a story in the process. Yeah, I think that's it. You can sort of appreciate it on a level, and it can be a tool, absolutely. But
of course,
as in and of itself, have I seen anything that's moving? I haven't.
no.
It's just a fact, and I can't think of anybody who I'm on all of the Instagram sort of AI accounts and stuff just to sort of see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've never seen someone in the comments say, this really moves me, it's made me feel something. It's always like, this is so cool, watch out Hollywood, you're going to be...
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of talk, tough talk, kind of macho talk. Very little like, I've connected with this, or it's made me feel something, or... Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything that really...
It does feel very much with that macho tough talk, and with the money men driving it. It's people who aren't creative by nature. You can hone a skill and you can create and still be rubbish. But there are people who just can't create. They just can't do it. I can't learn an instrument. It'll never happen. But I think there's those people that get almost a little bit bitter. Like, oh, I can't do it. That makes me sad. That makes me irritated. So I'm pleased someone else can just do it, because then now I can. Like, I always felt it, having worked corporate jobs, that the money guys couldn't do anything creative, and they hated that they had to ask someone to do something for them. So well, now AI's in there, they can be like, well, I can create all of this, and I can type something in and I can have whatever I want. I'm like, sure, you can have whatever you want, but it's not good. And they're like, but I can do it now. And it's like, that doesn't make you creative. Like, is that what you're trying to do? And I don't know.
It's not the act of doing it for the sake of doing it. It's what are you getting out of doing it? You know,
I think that's another thing. I don't think they realize that being creative isn't a choice necessarily. Like, being creative is, I have to draw something, I have to paint something, I have to create a piece of music, I have to cook something from scratch, and I have to use my own ingredients and try and make something else. I've got to grow the plants in my garden to be a certain way so that the colors work all together. It's not something that you actively seek out. It's something that your brain has to do. And I think, like I said, like, my brain doesn't understand numbers. I can't do maths. It's just something that my brain, I can do basic arithmetic, but like, my brain will just go like, no, if I see equations, my brain just goes like, well, that's not for us, so don't worry about that. And I think it's a similar thing. I think people who aren't creative think that there's a complete choice in the matter. And it's like, no, sorry, there is no choice in the matter. Like, I will see something, I'll think it looks like something else. I'll then have to go draw that to get it out of my brain, because if I don't draw it, it'll drive me mad and I'll think about it for too long. And then I'll think, oh, that looks a little bit like something else. Then I'll go have to research something else. And it's a whole network. And none of it is through choice. It's just, it is.
Yeah, I guess it sort of taps into this whole obsession with optimizing and hacking and gaming everything. Like, this idea that creativity can hack it, can optimize it. And that just completely misses the point. It's I read a really interesting article, and I'll butcher what it said if I'm not careful.
Please do.
But it was about sort of basically that in modern life, things that you would expect to do as an end unto themselves, because the end is what gives it meaning. Going for a walk through a forest, being outside. In our age of optimization, it will make me fitter. It will de-stress me. It's like breaking down the benefits, like a kind of bullet, like an AI ChatGPT bullet point, as opposed to just the end in and of itself.
I feel good after a walk. There's no reason to analyze
that.
I just feel good
because I just want to be out. I just want to walk. Like we're so obsessed with just optimizing everything, our time, the way we're creative.
Yeah.
And it misses something. And AI feels very much of that philosophy, I think. Or look, AI, again, I don't want to, I'm overshooting here. It's a tool that can be used in many ways, but the idea that AI is, just like a hack to just making a film, it just feels of this very Silicon Valley-esque philosophy.
And it feels very much just like tech talk, like, what's the silver bullet? How can we what's the silver bullet to making this work? And it's like, you don't have to win this, like, half finished, you still learned a lot. Like, you don't have to finish something. It doesn't even have to be, like you say, optimized. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all these things. Getting halfway there, you've learned enough to know whether you're going to continue or not. And then that in itself is perfectly fine. Like, I wanted to recreate the Jaws poster by painting it. This has been sat in my office for about 3 months now. I'm not going to finish it. But in my head, it was like, I'm going to draw it. And I drew it all out and I got all the font right. And I was like, cool. That's, Because it wouldn't have been perfect in my mind. It wouldn't have done all these things. And then it would have annoyed me because I had to finish it. I have to post it. I have to do all these things. And it's like, no, I'm just going to draw and then go, all right, cool. I'll come back to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fulfillment just from the act of doing. Totally.
Totally. Lovely. Well, that's very philosophical. And let's get into silly questions. So being, a London-born kid, Soho as well, you're in the centre with your dad being in film and television. I assume there was some not curation in what you watched when you were younger, but what was the first film you saw at the cinema?
Yeah, the first film, I had to sort of do a bit of brain scraping to get to this one. I'm pretty sure it was A View to a Kill, James Bond film. Grace Jones, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
The one with the Eiffel Tower. I must have been not quite old enough for it. This was the 80s, though, and I think parents just did what, they did what they wanted, and the kids
I think it was horror and porn or, sex stuff. Parents were like, you're not watching that. But action, gore, violence, enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was A View to a Kill, and it's a weird James Bond film, but at the time I thought it was all very cool, and it may have been this film. I mean, my dad has been known to exaggerate in his anecdotes, but he always tells a story of when I was a very little kid. I was sitting next to him in my seat. He'd turned around to watch the film. And then when he looked back, the seat had folded back up and just my head was popping out the top, but I was still just watching. So obviously something connected there. Nice. And I did what I'm then led to just watching a lot of films from the local VHS shop. Yeah. Again, the 80s. It was before even Blockbuster. Oh. We had a local VHS shop that was run by Tony and Maria, who West Side Story characters, namesakes. And I just used to go in there and rent a lot of films, to the extent that they used to illegally burn me my favorites. Oh. But I don't know if you burn a VHS or they would
No, you copy it.
Make copies for me.
Yeah, a video bank. You had to
I didn't know how they did it, but they would give me like black boxes, and inside would be like a copy of this film that I've been renting out over and over again. And they let me use the toilet in the back as well. That was like an executive privilege.
Say, that does feel, you've made it in like a coffee shop that's like quite bespoke, and they don't have like a customer toilet. When you go like, do you mind if I use the loo? And they're like, yeah, fine. You're like, I'm one of the good customers.
Yeah, I can remember even as a kid feeling a bit like chuffed with myself that I could use their toilet. And I used to want to rent all of the video nasty, the horror films with the scary looking stuff on the back. Wasn't allowed to.
But
although there were a couple of both my parents worked, so I had nannies as a kid, and there were a few nannies I think I managed to convince to rent me very inappropriate kind of horror films.
Perfect.
That I then subsequently really scared myself with, and
ruined it for your life.
Standard stuff.
Standard play. No, that's good stuff. I think that there was a moment recently. I interviewed Graham Humphreys, who did all the posters for like Evil Dead, but for the video box art and things.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
it's just very
good.
Very
stuff.
Much, takes me back to a time.
And I wasn't allowed to watch any of them. Yeah, I had to move a load of things because I was like, I don't want him to think I'm some weird super fan, but these are all the things that I grew up with. So obviously they mean a lot to me. And then like to speak to him, I was like, this is cool.
Yeah. I mean, they were alluring, those kind of films, weren't they?
Oh God, but certain boxes.
I mean, a lot of them have just lost to time as well. I mean, there were things that, God, I don't know if anybody watched sitting there. Amongst the classics, amongst the Evil Deads and
Creep
Show, was it?
There's Creepshow, which is
I really
wonderful.
wanted to watch, wasn't allowed. House, wanted to watch, wasn't allowed to. People
Oh,
Under
that
the
was
Stairs.
Bill Morrison who did the poster for House, and Bill Morrison now does the Simpsons comic,
Ah,
and it's the same
well, there you
guy.
go.
And
Like you said, it's having a variety of
having a variety.
creative.
I then told a friend of mine who I was like, I would like, cause like he's got some original artwork, and you know when you sort of hang out with people who have that kind of stuff in your head, you start thinking like, well, I wouldn't mind a little something, something. What could I get? You know, and I thought like, well, I won't go too far. And I was like, the house poster with the finger on the doorbell. I'd love that. I'd love that. So I looked it
Is it a
up.
severed hand?
It's a severed hand floating
Yes. Oh,
pressing.
that is. I mean, you've unlocked some core memories just there. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I tracked it down. And I was like, all right, so it was Bill Morrison who painted it. Okay. And then I said to Charlie the next time I saw him, I was like, it's done by a guy called Bill Morrison. And he was like, Bill, as in Simpsons Bill. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm seeing him at the weekend. I'll ask him. And I was like, wait, what are you on about? What are you on about? And then he goes like, yeah, that was Bill who did it, but he gave it to a friend years ago. And I was like, oh, well. I was like, that's wonderful that I found out so quickly, but so upsetting that it's just never going to happen.
What could have been?
What could have been?
Yeah.
So you mentioned having certain videos that you watched over and over and over again. What were they? What were films that you watched over and over again as a kid?
My most watched over and over again film as a kid was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Specifically, the opening sequence, which I would watch 3 or 4 times before school.
Lovely.
And again, it's like, I don't know how appropriate it was for me to be watching. Like, I wouldn't show it to my kids just
Alfred
yet.
Molina with a fucking spike through the mouth. That's not for kids.
Yeah.
Do you have the Lego? Do you have the Lego of it?
I don't. I do. I was given, and I'm saving it until my son's a little bit older. I was given the Tatooine.
Oh, nice.
The bar.
Yeah,
the bar. Mos Eisley.
You can. It's up on my shelf up there. You can get the Indiana Jones one, which has the falling, like slamming door, the vine, the idol, and the ball rolling. It's all one sort of
all the traps,
all
your favorite traps
in one
Lego.
spot.
I do love Lego for that. They really know what they're doing. I would love that. But yeah, I was obsessed with the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Watched it over and over again. Watched the whole film as well, quite a lot, but particularly the opening sequence, and sort of knew all the music off by heart. And I'd roam around in the garden, in the sort of undergrowth of the garden or of the local park, just like imagining that I was in the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Think I might have told a few friends that I'd hung out with Indiana Jones, on the weekend.
That's
made
pretty
myself
impressive.
Believe it. So yeah, I would say that was probably the most watched. There were many films though that got repeat viewings. Clash of the Titans was one I watched
nice
a lot as a kid. And then again, it's the age of VHS, so everything would get really worn out, and some stuff was like filmed off the TV, so there would be these like adverts from the 80s that you would memorize as much as the films.
I love that. I love finding an old video that I've recorded off the telly, because I still have a VHS player. In fact, I bought a VHS the other day, which is a Journey Through Time Shrewsbury, which is the town I live in, because I was like, nice. This is just going to have some wonderful footage from the 30s, 40s, and 50s of Shrewsbury. And it's like, that's going to be
wonderful and very niche.
Very niche. That's the second version of this kind of thing I've got. I get quite into something. But the old ads and things like that, I love seeing. Like, that in itself has its own historical marker for me. Certain, chocolate ads or cigarette ads that they used to be able to do, or whatever. It was just like, I would love those old ads back when they cared about ads, and catching them. I love them.
And then it would all become part of the kind of patter of the film. Like you would just remember the sequence in which they came, and some of the copies we'd recorded over other stuff. So like stuff would fizz in
Hmm.
briefly from like a previous recording and then fizz away again. And you'd remember all of those kind of glitchy moments.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was something very sort of psychedelic, I guess, about being a kid, and yeah, to this day, I'm quite into that kind of analog
Mm.
feeling in music as well. I mean, I listened to tape
Yeah.
cassettes, had a Walkman, and again that sort of tape hissy sound. As a, not even a side hustle, but something I do for fun is I make and produce music, but a lot
Oh,
of it
nice.
has kind of a bit of a fizzy, analogy kind of edge to it, and it
That's good.
must be like yeah, just being a kid in that time. The
That,
terrible fidelity actually becoming like
the
something that you
desired
kind of
sound.
seek. Yeah.
But it's, with some of my VHS, I've got my VHS of Evil Dead, which is down here somewhere. Like, I won't buy a 4K of it. I won't, because I don't want it in 4K. I want it in
No,
naked
it looks
video. Like,
yes. Sometimes the remasters,
ruin
impeccably
all of
scanned,
it. Yeah, I
uber
don't want
sharp,
it.
can take away something. Yeah,
You're going to
it's
show a
totally
lot of
true.
crimes if you make Evil Dead 4K. It's going to be like, oh, that's not scary. That's quite dreadful.
I know. Yeah,
But
it can
also
it
with
can
Evil
do
Dead,
some damage, can't it?
I want Evil Dead to feel like I shouldn't be watching it. I want it to be like, oh, what's
Yes.
this? What's this
Yeah.
horrible bit of nastiness? That's all I ever want.
Found at the back of the video shop.
Yeah. And you ask, like,
Yes,
what's that? And they go, oh,
grimy.
you can't have that. You're not allowed that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I have to have it now. So
But
yeah,
I'm 18. You don't look 18.
well, how would you know?
Um, exactly. And then there was a big breakthrough when my dad came back from the States with a video player that could play American videos.
Oh, nice.
And in the 80s, again, so 80s going into the 90s, for some reason, Americans would release films way earlier in the cinema than in the UK, and
Yeah.
the VHS would come out sometimes before it had even come out
Yeah.
in the cinema in the UK. So you'd have these like holy grail videos that were
Yeah.
hot off the press, and there was something about, I guess it's the whole NTSC PAL thing, but the colors of the American videos were a bit different.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's a different frame rate going on, but they had a very distinct feel all of their own, and
Yes.
had American adverts, which again
Yes.
sort of burnt into my mind. These like adverts for Pizza Hut with kids playing baseball and stuff that
Yeah. And
just
you're
like
like, that looks like whatever this Americana is, I want some of that, And then as
oh
an adult,
yeah,
you
I mean in
realize, like,
those days, late 80s, early 90s, America was a
oh,
desirable
very
thing, a desirable lifestyle
100%. 100%.
place.
Venice Beach at any point in the last 50 years would have been rad. That's as in like California. Like that to me sounds perfect.
Yeah.
But I have
Or like that kind of 80s New York,
oh
I'm walking
yeah,
here
exactly.
from the films, from all
Not
the
Larry,
movies.
not like Larry Clark's 80s New York, but still. Like,
Yeah, maybe not so much.
not so much as that. I have a Laserdisc player, and it's a similar situation where it's slightly better than VHS. It's not as good as DVD, but it's a multi-region. So getting American, laser discs or Japanese laser discs, and then seeing the trailers for films that either never made it over here or just weren't that big of a deal, or they were the Japanese trailers of American films. Oh, I could watch those. I used to be able to just watch trailers, for
I
days.
mean, this is one of the things I've sort of thought about with the internet and content coming from so many different directions. Like we've lost that side of things, that the adverts or the things that you've taped over, or the fact that it's a laser disc from another country, all of that becoming part of the experience itself. I think now that there's so many different ways to access everything, there's a little bit of that part of it has gone.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it specifically. Actually, this is a slightly random reference. there was a World Cup Italia 90 video of like every goal in Italia 90, and the guy doing the voiceover had a very specific way of doing it. He wasn't commentating the match, he was talking like in the past. So it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and the music was very specific, and it was like a kind of weirdly like a film unto itself. Whereas now, if you were to watch all the goals of this
Yep.
World Cup coming up, you would get 100 different interpretations of it. It would like the the 1990 World Cup for me has such a specific feeling to it because of things like that. Because
Mm.
you've got this one video copy you had with the guy doing his weird past tense commentary with the really really odd music, but that gives it such a strong identity.
Yeah. I think it lost things digital. I don't like to use the word content, but like the digital content does mean that it loses a specific identity because it's not just one way of telling it, which is good. Don't get me wrong. It's good to have multiple variations so we can all see how things are actually made. But when you are given like this is it. This is the Brit Awards 1994. These are the music videos. That's it. And you go like, oh, okay. And that's that. Whereas now you YouTube 1994 music videos, listen for the rest of your life probably. And it's like, oh, but
Yeah,
I like that you
we've
gave me
lost something
8,
in that
you know?
accessibility a bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I still have an extensive physical media collection that goes all the way around the room. And it goes from 8mm film all the way up to 4K. And I have very specific films for very specific formats.
Yeah.
And having things, a box set. I have 2 or 3 copies of Evil Dead as a box set because of documentaries that you could only get on specific things. And I'm sure if
Oh
I go
yeah, well
on YouTube,
exactly
they're all there.
that.
But
Like the funny extras and the menu screens you would get on DVDs again are sort of like an art form unto
yeah,
themselves.
the Wayne's World one being like a public access like cable TV like station, and you chose down. It was like excellent, excellent. That's what I want. I want to feel like everyone's cared up until this point, and then the filmmakers cared, and then I care. It's like that's lovely.
Yeah, it's like a curated experience, but I mean, in the case of the VHS, where the things you'd recorded over fizz in and out, it's curated
Mm.
by the galaxy rather than,
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, but it just it gives you a very specific uh, way of accessing the memories of those
yeah,
things, I think.
yeah. So we mentioned House. We've mentioned some other video nasty things, but what was the first 18 rated film you saw, and how old were you?
I had to think about this question, and there were films that I sort of caught, like the first half of. Like there were
Yes.
my parents had some friends. We would go and see them quite a lot. They had a son who was 5 years older than me. Uh, we're talking like mid late 80s
Mm-hmm.
here. He was just about old enough that he was watching Predator. He
Right.
was watching RoboCop. I wasn't supposed to be watching these
Of
films,
course
but
not.
he would like show me the first half an hour
Yep.
of them, uh, and then we would get caught, and he'd get told off, and it would
Mm.
stop. Uh, but that was kudos in the playground to have seen any of those films, to be able to go into the playground as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and be like, "Yeah, I watched the first
Yeah,
half
I've
of
seen it.
Predator."
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
it. What of it? Turned it
and
off.
not be lying, because we'd all apparently seen Nightmare on Elm Street, for instance. None of us had seen
Of
Nightmare
course.
on Elm Street,
But if you're a friend
but
with
I
Indiana Jones, you wouldn't
genuinely
lie. So
could. Yeah. So I don't know if that counts though. And then along those sort of lines, I remember catching some of Twin Peaks at the same house, just through the door,
mm,
uh, being terrified, like Bob
yeah,
walking towards the camera. Some really scary stuff. Again, maybe doesn't quite count because it was fragments. So the first thing that I definitively like watched all the way through, I think when I was about 11 or 12, over at a friend's house. There were probably like 10 of us, and we watched Silence of the Lambs.
All
Very
right.
intense. Very
That's
intense.
not
Very
silly.
psychological.
Yeah.
No, it was. I mean, it left a different kind of impression on me than a RoboCop or a Predator. Yeah, it was a pretty intense thing to be watching at that age. But I think that would be it.
Not a bad one. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good 18 to sort of be like, yep, that's the first grown-ups film for me. Like,
It was very grown up. Very grown up.
bloody hell.
I
I don't
think
think I could.
it took a while for me to kind of to get over that one.
Also, as a kid, I remember things like Silence of the Lambs and Exorcist was a big one that we weren't allowed to watch. There was definitely a series of films which you actually felt a little bit like you were scared because they were scary, but you were also feeling like, oh, I shouldn't watch this. You know, oh,
Yeah,
and you like,
I
oh,
think The Shining was another one of those,
yeah,
and yeah, you sort of feel like when you've watched it, you've turned from a boy into a man. It's like a sort of a coming of age thing. Although again, I remember I was a little bit older, but not much older, and I'd watched The Shining. I ticked that box, but
mm.
I was left to babysit my younger brother, and not a very nice thing to do, but I made him watch The Shining as a very young kid, and then he ran upstairs because it was getting really scary, and I just turned the volume up so that he could hear it up the stairs.
Well done.
And then apparently, along similar lines, I made him watch it
Yeah.
the day before he had an entrance exam at the secondary school, and he then couldn't sleep that night and buggered it up. So yeah, I mean, not a great older brother in some respects, although I was exposing him to some good films.
What was the first film you watched that you felt grown up? Would that be Silence of the Lambs?
Well, I think again, I was thinking about this question. I think there was a film that profoundly changed, like sort of changed the way that I saw films. It would be Blade Runner, which I
Okay.
must have seen when I was in my, sort of mid late teens, and
Mm.
it was the first film where I became really aware of the fact it was crafted by people, that it was this thing that it wasn't just a story that I was taking at face value. It was a piece of art that had
Yeah.
been created by very talented people, and that spoke to me on a number of different levels, showed me a world that I could kind of get lost in, posed questions about humanity. It opened up like a kind of higher consciousness, as it was that sort of step uh, into seeing that like filmmaking could be quite a serious,
Mm.
thought-provoking, and incredibly immersive thing made by humans. And I mean, I can remember I used to take showers with the lights off and pretend that I was in Los Angeles in 2019,
Nice.
just to sort of like try and
Yeah.
grab a piece of
Yeah.
that sort of Blade Runner feeling.
Did
But
you?
I then subsequently just did, like, every time I'd have a dissertation or an essay,
Yeah.
I just picked Blade Runner, and I became a sort of like an academic expert on Blade Runner, not on any other subject ever, but
Don't need it.
I could make it sound like I was very smart when it came to Blade Runner.
Did you go to the secret cinema of Blade Runner?
No, regrettably, I didn't.
So they were selling the umbrellas with the light up stems, and in the middle of the warehouse, every 30 minutes there was a rainstorm. So actual, actual rain, but it was in the courtyard where the food is. So you would be eating noodles, 2, 2, 4,
Yeah,
like in the rain with these neon umbrellas. I could have lived there. It was perfect.
yeah. I mean, I really missed a trick with
You
that
really
because
did.
I'd spent a large part of my life trying to like trick myself into thinking I was in Blade Runner as a grown adult. So I had the perfect opportunity there, and I
Should have
didn't
done it.
take it.
Should have. I loved it as well. They give you a role when you buy your ticket, and you're either a Blade Runner or you're just like a worker. And depending on how much you paid
Right.
for your ticket is whether you're a high roller or not. And I just bought the cheapest, most
Okay.
base ticket, so I was a worker. And they encourage you to come dressed up and everything. So I wore like a boiler suit and like a cap, proper lazy version of it. But then you can
Yeah.
go to the like the Snake Pit Lounge, and if you went to the front door, the bouncer would be like, "Nah, nah, nah, none of you're not allowed in here, none of your kind," and you'd be like, come on," and then someone would like sidle up to you and be like, "I can get you in around the back." And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
Nice.
take you round the back, and then you go through the back door into the club. And it's like, oh, this place is excellent. And it was
Yeah,
this
that kind of stuff's great.
perfect smoky sepia tone. Everything was yellow. And it was
Yeah.
so good. Like, honestly, it was so good.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry to
yeah, when that
gush.
kind of thing's done well, um, slightly different, but I did manage to catch the punch drunk, the drowned man. It was very David
Mm,
Lynchian, basically, and a big Lynch fan. And again, it's just sort of tickled. It really,
yeah.
it's not like trademark Lynch, but clearly very influenced by, and yeah, really, it rubbed the
Yeah.
part of me, of my
I would
soul.
I would
That,
love to do a cyberpunk film, but not a lot more grounded. It's very much in that Blade Runner thing where it's the future and it's a bit shit. Like that's it. Like I would love to do something like that. Have you seen that short
like a
that's
sort
on?
of French New Wave in the
Ooh,
cyberpunk
that
crossover.
could be fun. That could be very fun. Did you see the YouTube series about the guy who created a miniature like cityscape, and then he comped himself in so it looks like a full cyberpunk city, but it's
Oh,
just
nice.
all like I'll find it and I'll send it to you, but it's really good stuff.
Yeah, no, that would, I would geek out on that.
What film holds a special place in your heart?
Well, that is a big question. There are quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
I had to think about this. What did I land on? I think in my notes I'd written down Clash of the Titans. But I feel like I kind of semi covered that already, but it was a film. It is a film that holds a special place in my heart, and as my cinematic tastes have developed, you could say, and there are some more expected choices that would be knocking around the kind of
Mm.
higher echelons of like my favorite films. I think Clash of the Titans is one where that would be a little curveball you wouldn't necessarily
Oh,
expect.
oh.
Um, I think it's really good. I mean, it's. I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have. I'm talking about the original, by the way, not the
Yeah,
the
not the
studio,
no, no, no. I
not
was
that
going to make a joke and
abomination.
be like the Liam Neeson one, yes. No, the 80s one.
The '80s
Yeah.
one. It's got just a really odd atmosphere. Like I do quite like that kind of sword and sandally, and like
Mm,
Jason the Argonauts is another film I really like. That Harryhausen,
yeah.
Sinbad, but of all those films, it's venturing into that dark '80s fantasy territory. I guess
Mm,
it's one of the later kind of Harryhausen films, and we'd gotten to that point where, for whatever reason, these quite dark fantasy films were coming out. So it's got this just quite a doomy atmosphere compared to
yeah.
like when I think of Jason the Argonauts, I think it's being quite upbeat. Everybody's
Yes.
in quite a good mood and sort of lots of plummy English accents. But yeah, so Clash of the Titans has this strange atmosphere. Um, it's got one of the best sequences I think ever filmed, which is the Medusa beheading sequence, which
Okay.
I've always just said that if I became a film tutor, I would have my students study that sequence because I think it's sort of it's cinematic perfection.
Okay.
I think the way the tension is built, the way that the music is used, the the lighting, just everything about it creates an atmosphere and a tension.
Mm.
It's just an expert sequence. It's not a perfect film throughout. I mean, there's some occasional quite dodgy performances, and it's a product of its time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it holds a special place in my heart.
Nice. I think being able to distinguish one of the finest scenes in cinema, in your opinion, also being attached to a film that is not out and out perfect, I think that's really good. I think being able to take an element. I always think if there's one moment in any film I watch, if there's one moment that made me feel something other than boredom, it's done its job. You know, so there'll be films which I'm like, that was a piece of shit, that film, but the way that this person looked and they did a turn and the light hit them perfectly, perfect. That was perfect. And it was just like, and I like finding that moment in every film where I'm like, there it is. There's the bit I like. And I think it's good. It's good that you can, acknowledge that. I would say my scene that I think is perfect is in a perfect film, and it's the Alfred Molina scene in Boogie Nights. I think that builds up perfect tension.
Yeah. Is that the scene with the drug deal gone wrong?
And there's the small Indian boy just lighting firecrackers and letting them off.
Yes.
And it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
It's a fantastic scene. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson is not exactly
breaking... What do we need to say?
breaking new ground here, but he's one of the best. And I think There Will Be Blood would be my sort of top Paul Thomas Anderson film that I put it in my sort of top 5 ever.
Nice.
So you could say it holds a special place in my heart, but I thought it would just be a bit too obvious. I wanted to pull something out a bit more.
I would say it's not an obvious Paul Thomas Anderson.
Would you not? I would have thought it's one of his most critically acclaimed. And
I'd say Magnolia is the one that everyone would sort of pitch as like, that's the one. I enjoy Boogie Nights more, but Magnolia is the better film. And I think I would have always thought that everyone would say like, oh, Punch Drunk's my favorite, but Magnolia is the best. So for you to say like, There Will Be Blood, I think that's not to say that's your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson. I'd be like, yeah, that's a completely valid answer. But to then say like, that's his best one, I'd be like, oh, okay, interesting.
Well, I mean, look, taste is completely subjective, but I mean, one thing that happens with my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson films is that often the first time I watch them, I'll not necessarily connect with them as much as subsequent viewings, and then I'll like every time I watch it, something new will transpire.
By that metric, Inherent Vice should be my favorite.
Yeah, to be honest, that is the one Paul Thomas Anderson film that I really just over my head did not do anything for me. The Master, I went and watched the
big fan of that,
the 70mm preview when it came out, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's all right, I guess. Watched it subsequently, became a big fan. But I think There Will Be Blood. It found itself. It came out in that year, the legendary year where we had.
It was a banger of a year.
No Country for Old Men, Ballad of Jesse James, and I think initially, No Country for Old Men was in the lead. After watching them for the first time, and I still think No Country for Old Men is a great film.
Yeah,
but There Will Be Blood gradually with repeat watchings, it just sort of leapt above for me.
Yes, I'd agree. Like, No Country when it first came out feels. It feels like a high end burger and chips, whereas There Will Be Blood is a steak. They're both delicious. They're both perfect. They're both exactly what you want.
Have a burger when you can have a steak.
Exactly. But then sometimes burger don't cut it and you got to get that steak. And I
And you
think
get a loaded hot dog with Jesse James.
then you got everything.
With jalapenos and...
This sounds like a pretty good meal film combo going on here. I recently got all of the Paul Thomas Andersons in there, sort of the best like quality for what they are, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I plan on doing a marathon
all of them.
Going to do all of them.
Wow. I mean, how long would that take?
A long time.
Each one of them's probably 3 hours.
Exactly.
Running time.
I think Hard 8 is the shortest. So start small, and then go straight into a 3-hour Magnolia, a 3-hour Boogie Nights. So
would it be chronological, or would you, how would you do it? What would be the order?
That's a good question. I was going to
maybe from your least favorite first, or maybe you should end on your least favorite to see if you get that Paul Thomas Anderson effect of suddenly discovering you love it.
There's 2 I haven't seen, which is Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza.
Phantom Thread is a classic. First time I watched it was like, it's good, it's not his best, and then kind of got better and better.
Okay.
With subsequent viewings, and now, I think it's pretty good.
A lot of people.
Licorice Pizza, I like. I don't love.
Fair enough.
I like.
Okay. Maybe I start with Inherent Vice, then Licorice Pizza just to see how it is. Then I'll give myself a little nourishment with Magnolia. Then I'll go back into Hard 8. Then I'll come back to Boogie Nights. Then give it some Punch Drunk. Then Phantom. Then One Battle.
And then There Will Be Blood just to send you off to sleep.
So, what's your controversial opinion on a famous film?
Controversial opinion, and I know you agree with me on this, is that Chris Nolan is hugely overrated, not a genius. His films are pretty tedious. I think
you're a lot harsher than you were the first time.
He's made a couple of decent films, and you know what? I'll probably watch The Odyssey at the IMAX just because it's big and for a sense of spectacle.
I think when it comes to, if you are a cinematographer or if you are an actor, I think you can watch a Nolan film without that feeling of like, oh, this is a Nolan film. You can watch it with like, well, this is what 300 bloody million will get you. This is, you're allowed to shoot however you want. Look like
300 million dollars. Hoyt van Hoytema is an absolutely stellar cinematographer. It's my criticism with Nolan is more sort of intellectuality. Is that even a word that surrounds him? And he sort of is, just his very serious, pretentious approach that seems to get a lot of people excited but leaves me very cold. And I think Inception is the guiltiest of his films for me of that. And one of the main reasons I have a real issue with it is because it's a film about dreams that doesn't feel like any kind of dream that I've ever had.
No.
It feels well, maybe some of those like fever dreams where you just dream in like maths.
But, I hate those.
It's like
the worst ones.
I know, they're terrible. It just doesn't feel like dreams, and like to me, that's a test of you as a filmmaker, like your ability to convey dreams, because they capture a lot of what I love about cinema and the ambiguity and the poetry. I just don't see that in his images. I think his images really lack poetry, and they're very po-faced.
Yeah, and even in things like Living in Oblivion, the Steve Buscemi film, where they're trying to do a
better dream than
they do a better fake dream sequence than that, and it's just sort of like, come on, like this. Like you said, it's not a dream that I've ever had. Like there might be times where in a dream, I think the closest he ever gets is when Leo's running down the alleyway, and it starts to get narrower. That is the only part that is slightly dreamlike. Everything else is just like, well, this is just an action film. This isn't.
Yeah. He seems to be at the top of a lot of people's lists, and I just think I don't think he's a bad filmmaker per se. He's just not exceptional, and
No,
he thinks he's the best ever,
and his fans
and a lot of
think
other
he's the
people who
best.
give him money do, and his fans do. And I
Which,
just think, could you give that amount of money to someone else, please?
right? And especially when, you know, Insomnia is a remake, like Paprika. Well, Inception is a remake of like Paprika. Batman adaptations. Like every time his brother wrote something, they were considered the slightly better films. But then as soon as his brother left, like working together, I feel like there has been a distinct lack of quality in his storytelling, and he's just getting away with it. And
Yeah,
part of it is, you know, a moment of jealousy, because as a filmmaker, I would love to be able to go, what about this bullshit? And someone goes, 100 million? And I go, thank you very much. But I do feel like there needs to be some level of accountability. Like I remember someone saying to me once, you can be the director and the producer, the writer-director, the writer-producer, but you can't be all three, because you need someone to go, hold on, that's bullshit. Try
Spielberg
again.
might have something to say about that.
His little friend here might disagree. That's true.
But then again, I haven't seen the latest Spielberg film. Is it Disclosure Day? But
yeah,
it looks like Spielberg doing a spoof of a Spielberg film.
It's dreadful.
And maybe he needed a producer, a writer, and a director to take on that job.
I found a review. I went to see it at the cinema because I am one of those few people that to this day has been like, Spielberg, even now he's the greatest. I love him. And other people are like, I think he... And it's like, no, he's amazing. And I watched Disclosure Day and I was like, I think it's time for him to retire. Like,
well, it's I can't even remember whether the... by the way, there's a guy cleaning the windows behind me. Which you're not going to hear in the podcast, but you might be a bit disconcerted.
I did see some like abseiling ropes.
He just comes and does it like every month or so. Yeah, okay. So I can't remember if we probably did talk about Backrooms and Obsession, but actually since we've redone having another go at it, I watched Obsession in the cinema, and I think there's some kind of cosmic timing thing that Spielberg's film has come out around the same time as Backrooms and Obsession. Neither of which are perfect films.
Sure.
Obsession is really good, but it's more that it absolutely captures a zeitgeist, and Spielberg's film couldn't be further. Well, I'm saying this, I haven't seen it, so it's not totally fair. I'm going off what other people have said and the trailer, but it feels like there is something to it that there's like...
Had Disclosure Day come out 20 years earlier, it would be one of the best blockbusters ever made. But it is 20 years too old. Like, it's just... It doesn't make sense. As in, one review I read, which, like I said, I'll send it to you. Someone said it's... The big bad guy is in his HQ, which is full of monitors, and everyone's wearing black jumpsuits and earpieces. And you're just like, yeah, that's such comical bad guy behavior that now that wouldn't be the case. It would just be someone on their computer from an undisclosed location. Like, it would be the Gene Hackman in, was it Enemy of the State? That would be more likely the person with all the secrets. And it just doesn't
be Elon
work
Musk
like
in a UFC match with Jeff Bezos or something.
Well, remember Musk...
He was going to fight Zuckerberg,
yeah. And then Zuckerberg got absolutely yoked. And then Musk was like, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Nolan, overrated.
Nolan, overrated. Spielberg, that wasn't even meant to be part of the question, but is he overrated? I think he's just... his finger is just not on the pulse. He probably is still a great filmmaker. I bet he can block a scene like he was when he was 20. He can fit 25 different frames into one lovely one
beautiful movement. His follow focus guy must be fucking on it.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Well, funnily enough, Chris Nolan notoriously, because I'm not gonna throw shade on the focus pillars here, but he shot on notoriously difficult formats for focus pillars, and He has quite a lot of soft shots in his films, which if you're in an IMAX, it's quite unforgiving.
Yeah.
And maybe, again, if I'm going to blame anyone for that, it would be Chris Nolan.
Would it be Nolan?
Focus pillar. Well, you could blame the focus pillar, but there is a limit.
I would blame
what a human is capable of. Well, you could blame the DP. Be Wally Pfister in the earlier films. But yeah, maybe it's a joint blame. I'm going to blame Nolan and Pfister.
I think, as I think I said in this earlier, like, if we all do well, we all did well. If it all goes to shit, it was my fault. Like, it's Nolan's fault for allowing that to be accepted, regardless of whether Wally didn't catch it during. Nolan shouldn't have allowed it. Like, an environment that allowed soft focus.
Yeah, I would imagine Nolan is up on his formats. He's up on his stops.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have been part of that decision. Format 100%. I mean, that's partly what he's known for, isn't he? He's I'm going to shoot on the biggest film camera.
Whether it needs IMAX footage.
Exactly.
Because nothing good has been shot on 16mm, all right? Nothing good.
Well, yeah, that makes me... You know what? This is not even a controversial opinion. I think everybody shares this opinion. I'm having a name block here, but director of Pi.
Darren Aronofsky.
Darren Aronofsky. What the fuck has happened there?
My God.
So Pi, 16mm, proper indie, on the streets, sweat, blood, tears.
Beautiful.
And now he's making like AI films. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And like The Fountain, such an interesting piece. Requiem, wonderful. The Wrestler, like, I really enjoy The Wrestler, but it didn't need to be an Aronofsky joint. And then Noah, making a big old blockbuster with like Russell Crowe, and you just think, like, my guy, what happened? Like,
wow. Have you seen the AI films that he released?
Oh, he's already released them. Oh, I haven't seen those. No.
Yeah, he's made these like AI films to coincide with like Independence Day, I think. Don't quote me on that. And various other things, at least sort of historical documentary narrative. Obviously not documentary because they're made with AI, and they are just dog shit. They're so bad.
I mean, did you watch Caught Stealing?
No. Not so good.
Not so... Well, I believe I said to Kirsty, my partner, like, if this was someone's second or third film, I'd have been like, ooh, there's some promise here. There's definitely... Like, this is going places. It's got its moments. It doesn't quite work, but there's going places. You tell me it's made by Darren Aronofsky, I'm just like, why? What? How? How did he make that? Did he put his name on it to help a younger director get in the business? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand.
It's a sad state of affairs. Also, Black Swan is just such a brilliant, intense film shot on Super 16. I don't know what happened to that guy, but I think he's probably invested in some kind of AI tech, hasn't he? That's there's a few of those guys out there who have put money into AI stuff, and suddenly we're being told that's the future. Get on it, or you'll be left
And it's
behind.
now cool. It's cool now, everyone. Don't worry about it. And it's like, it's not cool. I don't want it. In fact, I've looked at buying a 16mm camera in the last few weeks because I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'm going to get it right. And it's going to cost more money, but I'm going to try. And then I saw the prices. Then I thought, maybe I won't.
Yeah. if you'd done that, like, I don't know how, 8 years ago, it would have been...
I would have been picking up Araflexes.
Like that. Exactly. You would have,
Well, also an annoyance when it comes to that. I thought, well, okay, I have a Super 8 camera. Maybe I'll just shoot some stuff on Super 8. It costs the exact same to process and develop Super 8 or Super 16 or just 16 film. Like, it's £100 for 10 minutes. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's brutal. It's brutal.
It is brutal.
Yeah, is it an investment? Depends whether the film's good.
It depends. That's the thing. If I'm churning out Clerks, if I'm churning out Pie, if I'm churning out, She's Gotta Have It. If I'm doing one of those beautiful independent '90s films on 16mm and it gets the career going, totally worth it. Is it going to work though? Probably not.
You need to follow the lead of Mark Jenkins and process your own stock.
Yeah, his Clockwork Bollocks 16.
Exactly. Just whack it in a little chemical bath under your staircase.
Actually, that's not bad because I've developed.
See what happens.
I've developed stills. I'm sure I could just develop my own. I don't know. Why don't I just develop my own?
Come on, this is how you do it. Stick to black and white.
I was an analog photographer for a long time.
Stick to black and white. But yeah, you could do that.
Mark Jenkins did a AMA on Reddit recently, and my friend asked him, can you recommend any good horrors? And last summer and Big Wednesday were what Jenkins suggested, and I was like, Big Wednesday?
What's Big Wednesday? I don't know it.
John Milius surfing film.
All right.
With Gary Busey in it. Not scary. And it's just, with Busey in it, it's always a horror. But it was just like, that's such an odd... I mean, it makes sense a Cornish bloke would pick a surfing film, but it's so weird.
Yeah, I think Mark Jenkins sees the world in quite a unique way.
Yes.
Maybe
he is one of the few fortunate filmmakers who seems to be not... I mean, use the word getting away with it, but not because he's taking the piss in any way, but he seems the closest thing to a Lynch at the moment, where it's I'm just going to do whatever I want, and it's going to probably get some some critical acclaim.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to keep doing it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he threw out an Elephant Man or a Dune just to sort of bring in some extra cash to then
It'll
push off.
It'll be interesting, won't it? I mean, he's completely done everything himself up to now. I'm sure there have been a few people dangling projects in front of him that he's just not interested in. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how it would go if he jumped on board.
Would you ever want to try and shoot an Enos Main, or would you ever want to try and do that look?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yes.
There we go.
It'd be very exciting. Yeah, I mean, something completely different. Thinking in a completely different way. Having to sort of step back from everything and
the freedom
be vulnerable
of shooting
in a way.
The freedom of shooting MOS as well would be really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And great locations. I love Cornwall.
That's true. For the listener, I don't remember what the M stands for in MOS. Do you remember what the M stands for in MOS?
Mit out sound.
There we go. I don't know why I'd forget the word mit when I knew out sound. The next two words. So yeah. Well done, Ted. Though through watching a lot of Hong Kong cinema, the idea of shooting silently and just dubbing all the sounds in, that has
Italian cinema historically as well. Yeah,
I think that adds such a wonderful sort of layer to your filmmaking. It's a little French New Wave by being no, you're watching a film, because this sound obviously doesn't match up, but that doesn't matter. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be
exactly.
great.
I think it's one of those things where if the filmmaker is good, it's you make an agreement with the filmmaker that you're just going with the vibe.
Yeah.
And yes, I think it can be used in a really interesting way as a device itself.
All right, well then there we go. I'll get some black and white 8mm.
Mit out sound. I mean, I am a DP, so
yes.
But actually, you know what? As a DP, I really appreciate sound, and I'm very aware of what a difference it makes. I do not look down on sound at all. I think you have to, in the same way that with a comic book, if you can do sequential imaging without words and it still conveys the story, then it's a good story, and that's down to the visuals. But then
adding the words, adding the sounds, adding the flavors, that only enhances. It doesn't take. It can take away, but it's not ruining the look. It's like no. If you're adding a little diegetic sound in there, if you're adding a little something else in there, just to make that image come a bit more to life, like, it's lovely.
It's all part of the recipe of cinema, which it is a beautiful marriage of visual, sound, edit, performance. All
it's
these
adding
things
a little
coming
bit of
together
salt
to create something new.
Yeah. It's magical. I'm glad we ended on a controversial one with a positive message.
Yes.
So there we go.
Praise sound.
And what have you been watching recently?
Well, I watched Obsession a couple of days ago, and I was impressed. I think.
Nice.
For
Did you see Milk and Cereal, his first one?
No, I was going to say a first-time filmmaker, but he made that film for YouTube, didn't he? But
yeah,
and he'd done a lot of sketches. You could really see that his background was different from your average horror director. I don't know if you've seen the film.
I haven't yet. I will.
I don't want to spoil anything either, but I think definitely you can see that he brought something different to how horror is conveyed with his background in comedy. And there is very much a comedy to the film, but it rides this line where it sort of dances with the uncanny,
nice,
awkward, disturbing side of comedy. But yeah, it was just for a very solid all-round effort, and the lead performance, I cannot remember her name, so I think it's, and I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. Her first name is spelled Inde. Could it be Indy? I think it's that.
Yeah.
We might have to edit this if it's not. She was phenomenal in it. What a performance! And you can just see that there's something very now about it. Like I say, it's not a perfect film, but in a way, would you want it to be a perfect film? I mean, like Blair Witch Project wasn't a perfect film. You kind of want these bolts out of the blue to be a bit imperfect. They feel kind of real and unmessed with, like they've sort of come out of the swamp of like independent, just artistic graft, the will to make something, and the sort of audience that maybe hadn't been appreciated before, that lifted it up, along with Backrooms, that will now, of course, I imagine every studio exec will be desperate to get the next Obsession or Backrooms, and there'll be a lot of money being thrown around. Again, I can't remember if we talked about this earlier in the podcast, so if we
did mention
I
this.
apologize.
We did mention this, and I have a fear that it's going to push it too far, and there's going to be a lot of dross. But then again, there will always be too much dross, in my opinion.
But you imagine there'll be a few interesting filmmakers who will sort of get through the door before it closes. It feels a bit like Blair Witch Project or Sex, Lies and Videotape in the 90s. One of those films that just sort of changes up the industry, and no one quite knows exactly what the magic formula is apart from the filmmakers themselves. So you have to give them the money and trust them to do it again.
Well, I think it's much like the 50s, leaving that and going into the Hollywood Renaissance. It's big studios having to admit that, we don't know what the audience wants anymore. Let's give it to this next generation and let them try. And then you get, all the Hollywood Renaissance films, and then you get Spielberg, and then you get all the blockbusters where the studios are like, let's make more money. And they go, we haven't got it again. And it goes into the American independence in the 90s. And I hope that the MCU and Marvel and all that kind of stuff I hope it's been proved that it's like, there was a time and a place, and everyone loved them, but maybe they don't love them anymore, and maybe we should give some money to these younger filmmakers who don't think the audience is dumb. so they respect the
Yeah,
audience.
they know how to speak to their
Yeah,
people, and it's like they've got their own intimacy with their audience,
yeah.
and you can't fabricate that.
No, you can't.
So yeah, it's cool. It's exciting. I mean, I'm a millennial, so I might be washed away by a flood of young filmmakers. But no, look, we need to make space for the next generation. And I've always, I think in the last, as our age group have sort of got a bit older, we got into positions of being able to gatekeep stuff. There's been a lot of our culture just sort of force fed back to younger people, and I think we really needed something new to happen culturally, and I'm very glad about that.
I'm very pleased that we're losing the, as South Park coined it, the member berries. You know, just it's all that nostalgia, it's all the fetishization of the 80s and 90s, and it's like,
there's a place for that, but
there's a
it
place
shouldn't be the dominant culture.
Well, I think He-Man is the most. The film He-Man that just came out seems to be the most prevalent thing. It's like, who's that for? Because 40-year-olds...
I haven't gone to see it.
I haven't seen it. Like, I won't. I was too young for it, really, when it came out. But
I was a big He-Man fan as a kid, I have to confess.
And you didn't see it. Come on, that's, you know...
No, because... Yeah, I don't need to just constantly have my childhood sort of dug up,
rehashed,
and reanimated.
No,
the nostalgia's there already. I can tap into that. And you know what? Actually, Stranger Things, I think the earlier seasons, kind of they rode the line really nicely in that it was incredibly nostalgic, but it also did have its own sensibility and sort of, it wasn't, you couldn't put your finger on what it was bringing back to life. It was a bit E.T., a bit John Carpenter, it was a bit Goonies, it was a bit of all these different sort of things, and something a bit kind of modern as well. Yeah. So I think it can be done, although I think Stranger Things very much played itself out. But
it should have ended at 4. And when I have friends who haven't seen any of it, and they're like, now it's finished, I'm going to watch all of it. And I was like, fine, don't watch 5, because actually 4 ends. Like, you don't really need any more after that. And they were like, I'll watch all of it, though. And it's like, you're going to be disappointed.
And the episodes get so long in the later seasons. And they have that thing of the kids not being kids anymore. I mean, they're all in their sort of like mid-20s.
Yeah.
And it all gets
grown adults who are pretending to be 15.
I mean, that is one of Hollywood's favourite things to do, isn't it? It's like,
that's truly an 80s film when you've got a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, it's almost nostalgic, isn't it?
It's almost. Well, thank you for coming back and re-recording.
Yeah.
It's a shame we lost it. The audience, you don't know what you missed. It was a half an hour of gold.
Yeah, what did we discuss? I mean, Chris Nolan. Lynch.
There was a bit of Lynch, but I think in the controversial opinion, I think you eased into the Nolan hate. You eased into that a lot slower.
I tested the waters. This time I was emboldened, and I
knew.
Went full. Yeah, it's not hate. That would be unfair and too strong a word. It's just
sure.
I feel like everybody else
numb to his
seeing
work.
Something that I just don't see, and I'm not interested in seeing.
I have no interest in the Odyssey. I won't go see it. The only reason I saw Oppenheimer was because there was an IMAX day at Cineworld, and it was a $5 for an IMAX ticket.
Oh, right.
And I was like, sure, go for it.
I mean, I haven't seen Oppenheimer. I didn't.
You don't
Barbie? Yeah, I was there for Barbie.
I watched Barbie. I was disappointed that Ken's story was better in Barbie.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was a sort of positive thing to happen with cinema,
Yeah.
but I do think it could have been more than it was.
Yes.
It didn't quite fulfill the potential.
No, I think Frances
Just
Ha
a little
is
bit
better...
too lightweight.
Yeah, Frances Ha is a better Greta Gerwig film.
Oh yeah, I mean Frances Ha is a very good film.
It's a very good film. I still haven't seen Lady Bird.
It's good. I mean, I would definitely prefer Frances Ha, but Frances Ha, she wrote, didn't she?
Yeah.
It was directed by
Noah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I say Noah like he's a buddy of mine. Jesus.
Noah, you're mate.
You know Noah.
Going to see him at the pub tonight. Did you ever see Greta Gerwig in any of those mumblecore films? Like that was a small independent movement in the noughties, probably would have been, of these like American independent films made for no money, kind of a bit almost like Dogma-esque.
Yeah,
you know, like shot on location, handy-heldy, shot on film.
I feel
she
like
was in quite a few of them. That was a great
I definitely saw her. I'd seen her in something before Frances Ha, but I cannot remember what. Yeah,
it's worth checking out mumblecore. I mean, it's very much a moment in time, but it's if you're into sort of like micro genres,
I am.
Take a look. Yeah, and she came out of that world.
Okay, nice. All right, well, I'll add that to the watch list. It's always good to add things to the watch list. But thank you for coming on, Daniel. And is there anything you want to push, promote, say?
What would I like to promote? I had 2 shows come out this year, and I think they're both very good. I directed. I did not direct. I shot the last 2 episodes of the series of How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, which is the new Lisa McGee TV show on Netflix. It's a kind of mystery, comedy, thrillery mashup. Really good fun. So check it out. That was with the director Rachna Suri. So shout out to her. We had a really great time on that, I think. And the other shout out would be for the second series of Big Mood, which also came out in April. And that is a dramedy. Don't kill me for saying that word, but it does best describe the show. Starring Nicola Coughlan and Lydia West, directed by Rebecca Asher and written by Camilla Whitehill. And that is also really worth a watch. It's, if you're of a millennial generation in particular, I think it will speak to you about friendship and growing older, and that's it, really.
Oh, lovely.
That wasn't the smoothest, but
no, it's good.
Maybe you can smooth it up in post.
Yeah, I'll add some background noise as well to make it really fancy. Well, yeah, I'll link all those things in there, and I'll put your Instagram and your website and everything on the thing, so everyone can check out your other works.
Thank you.
But yes, thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And
it's been really fun. Having you twice.
It's been good. Exactly. You're the first person to be on twice. And speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Dad. Bye-bye.
See ya. This has been a Lovable Rogue Productions podcast. Thank you to everyone that listened. If you want to help out your life in film, then download it, like it, share it, and give the pod a follow. I didn't realise till starting this that a download is the way they measure success and not just a listen. So, listening means nothing. Make sure you check out my guests on their socials, which will be in the description of the episode. Take a look at my letterbox. I've made a list of all the films that have been mentioned on the pod. There's fucking hundreds. So you can find some good films there. There are some good ones. There's some fucking weird ones, and I love them. Quick shout out to some of the podcasts I'm listening to. Caliber 9 from Outer Space. That's Robin Joe's. That's really good. And then The Villain Was Right. That's a great fun. Check that out. If you really want to be a mensch, give me that money. There's a link in the description. It'll explain it all. But a download and a share is excellent, and I actually appreciate that a lot more than you'd think. We currently have no sponsors, but I am open to them. I'll shill anything. I don't care. This has been a Lovable Rogue production. Thank you for listening.